Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Adam Bohri bin Muazzali. My matrix number is 20205257885. Today I'll be presenting about introduction on zakat management in business. Islam is more than just a religion. It is a full way of life that serves as a guide for Muslim. Concern for the poor, also known as zakat, is one of the pillars of Islam that governs Muslims' life. When we donate our goods to those in need, when we purify our possession, and this fosters fresh development in our economy. For most purpose, this entails paying 2.5% of one's capital each year. A generous individual may donate as much as he or she wishes as sadaqah, but it is preferable if it is done in secret. When we give zakat, we are doing to please Allah and not for display or personal gain. In Islam, zakat and sadaqah is a requirement in Islam that we must follow whether we have a lot of money or not. Even when a person has nothing, according to the Prophet, peace be upon him, he should labor his own money hence for his own gain, and then donate portion of his earnings to charity. Unquote. He should help the poor and needy folks, and if he fails to do so, he should push others to do goods. The Prophet said. We're talking about concept of zakat. Zakat is one of Islamic 5 pillars and is a financial obligation that every Muslim has to pay. Zakat must first be formed in a well-organized manner within the Muslim society. According to the basic principle of zakat, an institution for collecting zakat should be established in the Muslim community. Zakat is a religious requirement imposed on cash spent on a specific sort of purpose and in specific categories. It is a set amount set aside by Allah the Almighty for those who are eligible for zakat as defined in the Quran. Zakat is a social welfare levy imposed on the wealthier members of the Muslim society and more thriving business that enables to close the gap between the rich and the poor. Zakat revenue were collected and administered by the state in early Islamic nations, but zakat management has had historical issue after the demise of early Muslim kingdoms. We're talking about zakat objective. The primary goal of zakat payment is to maintain social balance and to ensure that no poor or needy person suffers or dies. When we have particular amount of gold, silver or other assets that can be measured and calculated, the zakat is required. The main goal of zakat is to keep society economic balance so that wealth flows from rich to poor and never remains in one person's hand. In this way, we can rid out society of poverty or other social ills. Rich people humans' character is shaped by the zakat, which protects them from greed and selfishness and promotes the nation of brotherhood and solidarity. The Quranic focus on zakat is that it is noble goal of cleansing and improvement from Surah Taubah, Ayah 180. In this way, zakat cleanses sins impurity in much same from the salah cleanses sins and impurities. This is why it is said in the Quran that zakat carries people's dirt.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Yusuf Luqman bin Izamuddin. My matrix number is 2020302-097, and today I want to talk about the type of zakat charged in business. So, in the Islamic holy book of Al-Quran, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala explains that paying zakat is one of the main indicators of a good Muslim who receives reward and blessings from Allah. One of Allah's most magnificent characteristic is that He is Ar-Razzaq, which is the provider, and everything we have is ultimately from Him. Anything we have is thus only ours for a limited time in our lives, and the test we face is what we do with what Ar-Razzaq has given us. This demonstrates the significance of zakat in Islamic Sharia. So, we're going to move into zakat in society. Zakat is more than just a tool for poverty alleviation and wealth purification. It is one of Islam's foundational pillars and a macro-micro element for success. Zakat builds faith and equips society to thrive spiritually, economically, and socially. Muslims are encouraged to seek halal employment and engage in entrepreneurial activity, but in order for commerce to benefit society, Muslims have several obligations. According to scholars, giving zakat has both an outer and an inner dimension. The inner dimension suppresses the ego, assisting Muslims in overcoming selfishness and miscellaneous. The outer dimension entails breaking down barriers for individuals and creating opportunities for the community to thrive. This is why it is critical that we all keep up with our zakat payments. The difference between tax and zakat. Although zakat functions is similarly to a tax, the two are entirely different payments. A Muslim should regard zakat as a divine command and thus embrace it with joy. Zakat cannot be considered or treated as a tax on wealth. It differs from tax in its nature, objective, and philosophy. Next, we go to business zakat and tax deduction. Zakat on business income paid by Labuan offshore companies has been deducted from income tax. This rebate is equal to the amount of zakat paid to the religious authority by the business. It is limited to a maximum of 3% of net profit or 20,000 ringgit per year beginning with the 2004 assessment year. Zakat is principally payable on the business regardless of whether profit is earned or unearned. Zakat is principally payable on the business regardless of whether profit is earned or unearned. If the business have positive working capital, zakat paid by the corporation is allowed as the deduction up to maximum of 2.5% of total income excluding zakat collected by cooperative and trust bodies. Islamic scholars should be open to new interpretation and changes to the hukum formulated by earlier scholars, says Mufti of Selangor State Government. What are business assets according to zakat principle? A zakatable business asset is one that is purchased to resell or develop in a manufacturing contract to sell. In Sharia, such as asset is known as a productive asset, which is mal na'mi. Productivity refers to an asset's ability to grow and increase in the one of the following ways. The first one is intrinsically productive. The second one is productivity through trading, and the last one is productivity through flock reading. So I want to show about these are all the examples of the zakatable assets and non-zakatable assets.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Taufiq Akwabe Abdul Hamid. My metric number is 2020357-895. Now I want to talk about the basic of calculation of zakat business. The several sources of zakat accounting are I have to say going to supply and reply to the interrogate of in case the accounting generous of behavior in zakat management. Zakat accounting will supply detail or information of a general nature modified technically practical recognized to be qualified to work out the zakat that actually confine an exceptional purpose. For example, the purification of wealth. The trade organization is basically oriented to gain by utilizing the entity theory, that is to say that the firm is divide entity from its owner. Where zakat accounting as a component of Sharia accounting, a firm of trade organization is united with its owner in such a way that he has an duty to pay zakat. If you have a business, all stock in trade is bound for zakat, containing land and genuine estate that has been purchased for the objectives of resale. Raw material and goods generated for sale are additionally subject to zakat. The building, machinery, cars, and so on that are important for the trade exempt from zakat. Next, zakat on the trade should be calculated by multiplying zakat rate with zakat base. The rate of zakat on business assured by National Fatwa Council is 2.5% of zakat base. Zakat bottom is the net adjusted number of zakat wealth and liabilities utilized for or derived from trade activities.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. My name is Zahid Hazman bin Zulkifli and my metric number is 2020930881. Okay, now I will continue for my part, Zakat Business Assessment Method. Okay, Zakat Business Assessment Method is a way how we can calculate how much we have to pay business zakat in a year. In Malaysia, zakat on company property is calculated using the method set by each state Islamic religious council, whereas nisab is calculated using an equivalent value of 85 gram of gold. Okay. The current asset method method working capital with income from investment method, adjusted working capital method, capital plus with profit method, and income on profit technique are the 6 business zakat accounting system. Yes, I will continue zakat accounting method. Okay, based on current asset accountant for the purpose of zakat assessment is estimate cash on hand, cash at bank, net account receivable less. It means after deducting bad debt and doubtful debt and inventory. Inventory are valued at cost price. Okay, for the next one is net working capital and profit. Okay, business asset subject to zakat is calculated based on total current asset minus total current liabilities, then plus with net profit. Okay, next one is the working capital method, also known as the Shariah method. This method is described as it take into account the position of the current asset less the current liabilities of the business and taken into account several adjustments pertaining to zakat. This adjustment is made based on items that have been identified to be added or deducted. Okay. And the last one is the profit method. This strategy is appropriate for business enterprise that do not have an accounting record or financial statement, such as hawker, restaurant, food stall, and other comparable business. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you.
Next, I'll talk about in conclusion. In conclusion, concern for the poor, also known as zakat, is one of the pillars of Islam that governs Muslims' life. Therefore, it is an obligatory for all Muslims. When we donate our goods to those in need, we purify our possessions, and this fosters fresh development in our economy. A generous individual may donate as much as he or she as sadaqah, but it is preferable it is done in secret. Therefore, in Islam, zakat and sadaqah is a requirement in Islam that must follow whether we have a lot of money or not. Even when a person has nothing, according to Prophet, peace be upon him, we should labor by his own hands for his own gain, and then donate portion of his earning to charity. Quote, he should help the poor and needy folks, and if he fails to do so, he should push others to do so. Unquote. The Prophet said. That is all from us. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.